Thanks so much, John.
Thanks,
You
brother.
know, I have to say, the way I see it, the U.S. is in a bit of a spiritual and moral crisis. And frankly, most of us were raised to know better. I grew up in a small, somewhat rural southern town in North Carolina called Asheboro, and my family and we attended Greystone Baptist Church during my childhood, and my loving parents in that church, they instilled some really strong moral perspectives that I still hold on to tightly some 50 years later. Perspectives like love of neighbor and the understanding that we're all made equally in the eyes of God. I, I tell you all of this because of what I see in parts of our nation. With almost 65% of Americans identifying as Christian, Christianity is the largest religion in the United States. And given that reality, you know, you would think that we'd be seeing an ever increasing amount of people striving to follow the teachings of Jesus. However, you know, the sad reality is far too many people seem to be doing the opposite. Parts of the nation are becoming less about being an inclusive community and more about marginalizing those they dislike, less about contributing to the betterment of everyone and more about I've got mine, and less about caring for all and more about fearing all those who aren't like us. It is so far from the founding aspirations of this nation, which proclaim we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. It's so far from the Declaration on the Statue of Liberty, which says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free." It's so far from the teachings of Jesus, who said, "In the name of God, inasmuch as you did it unto one of the least of these, so too you did it unto me." I, the way I see it, this presidential election is about two fundamentally different approaches to life and to what this country is going to be. And folks, only one of those particular outlooks aligns with what those of us trying to follow the teachings of Jesus should support. We'll see Harris's political platform next week, but we can tell a lot about what will be in it from her Senate voting record. She is a strong proponent of public education, of reasonable gun control laws, of compassionate immigration reform, of LGBTQ plus rights, and all indications are that reproductive rights are going to play a very central role to her campaign this year. Issue after issue, what we have is a leader who is not only a strong Christian herself, but whose policies are clearly guided by a love for all people and by the understanding that we are all created equally and that we should be treated that way. We are in a crisis in America. We need a strong, steady, morally upright leadership that Harris will bring to the White House and to our nation. And as a minister, I am very hopeful in seeing a ticket that believes in science and equality and caring for the poor and vulnerable and recognizing the human dignity of all people. That ticket is the spiritual and moral bomb that this nation needs in a time of crisis. The Harris Walls ticket, I see it as it's a ticket that brings with it the real hope for the trajectory of our country. Other than voting and donating, which you need to do, please donate, and volunteering. One of the best things that you can do is to stay informed. It's through informed one-on-one conversations with undecided voters that we can move our nations towards our founders' lofty goals and much needed goals of compassion, inclusion, and true freedom. I'd like to quickly offer you just two ways to do that. One is we're going to takebackchristianity.org. We don't endorse candidates there, and we are unique in that we're specifically trying to reach out to Christians who are undecided or not voting. And what you'll find is sort of real Christian responses to many of the major hot button topics that we know the far right Christian extremists will be trying to present warped perspectives about. So help us get that information to those undecided voters. And if you're a minister, there's even sermon starters for those topics. Highly recommend it. And the other place that I can recommend is the Christian Left on Facebook. It's a community of almost 375,000 folks talking about current events from a progressive perspective. It's not only a great place for becoming informed, but it's also a great place to find the community with folks who see the world in many of the ways that you do. So, I mean, folks, the bottom line is that America has two possible futures, and they couldn't be much more clearly defined than the opposing examples we're seeing on the presidential tickets. One is clearly rooted in joy and compassion, equality, and the common good, and the other is equally rooted in anger and domination and ego and greed. I know which one of those looks the most like what I was taught about growing up at Greystone Baptist Church. And I know which one is more of a reflection of the lofty dreams our founders had for our nation. And I know which one is most likely to bring about, well, the heaven on earth that Jesus urged us to strive for. And because of all of that, well, I know which one I'm choosing to vote for in November. And for all of those reasons, I'm asking all of you that are here with us, please donate and vote Harris Waltz in November as well. Thank you all. Thank you for listening, and God bless you all.